All right, Steve. Just me and you today for 15 minutes. I want to start off with a riddle. You're a smart guy and you're a numbers guy. A bat and a ball together costs $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the bat cost?
Bat and a ball together costs $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball.
Yep. How much does the bat cost?
The bat costs $1 more than the ball. This is a fucking brain scrambler, isn't it? $1.
Before Steve answers as
$1.05.
well. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I was going to say before you answer, pause the podcast if you want to have a think about it. But
Yeah.
$1.05. I thought you would get
$1.05.
it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I had a read of I saw that on Twitter this morning, and
Yeah.
a lot of the answers were that the bat costs $1.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, obviously it costs $1 more.
Yeah.
And the thought process was that it was $1, I think, instead of $1.05, and they assumed that the ball was 10 cents or something like that.
Who tweeted that?
His name's David Punt or something. He does a lot of. He has some punting software. I read quite a bit of the stuff. He's a smart guy.
Punting software.
Yeah, he does it's called like Form King or something.
Yeah, right.
It's not out for public use yet, but
Oh, right.
yeah, I found that fascinating, and I knew that you'd eventually get it. Probably thought it would take a bit longer than that.
I'm pretty happy with that.
It took me a bit longer this morning sitting on the toilet trying to work it out, but I eventually got it, and I was very happy when I got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice.
That's with those questions, there's always a trick. Like whenever you hear those riddles, it's like whenever you hear that, it's like obvious answer. Whatever you think the obvious answer is, reconsider it, because it never is the obvious answer. If you get the answer within 5 seconds, you're wrong every time with those questions. Like
which is
designed to
what
trick
all
you.
those people that tweeted straight under it, the
Yeah.
answer, were fully wrong, and they would have done that straight away.
Yeah.
No, interesting. I'm glad you got that. Obviously, this morning, all of this has been set up by our boy Tricky, our
Yep.
new editor.
New editor.
First day in today, so shout out to Tricky.
Tricky Mac.
We put him on our Insta story last night.
Yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Spoke to him yesterday and obviously this morning as well about where that's going to be able to take us and allow us to do certain other things, which is exciting. Even just not setting this up this morning
Yeah.
was a dead set fill up.
It definitely does. Just saves energy, saves time. You just can come and sit on the couch and don't have to worry about cameras. And I think it's probably one of the biggest underestimates from people, particularly that I know, and they're like, "What do you spend most of your time doing?" And we've talked about this before, and it's content, like content. Like we've obviously JP spoken. I won't name names for his sake, but a pretty sort of famous dude in the AFL podcasting space, and he's doing quite well, and he pumps out an extortionate amount of content, and JP spoke to him personally, and the guy was saying he had like multiple full-time workers doing his content, and that's what it takes to film, edit, cut it up, post it. It's going to be a massive benefit having Tricky and having his experience, obviously coming from having worked a bit in the racing industry and built sort of a bit of a brand for himself as well. It's going to be awesome to have him on the team. So it's probably a bit weird that he's sitting over there listening to this right now.
He's absolutely eating it up. He's absolutely loving it over there as well. It's also good that we've done it because I think the message, especially we've been pushing over the last few months, is like you have to spend money to make money, right? You can't be scared to invest money. You can't be scared to to grow. You have to go and leverage other people's skills and we've put our money where our mouth is now, and we've gone and hired someone full time to literally be able to leverage their skills and to grow our company. And
absolutely.
We're investing not only our time and energy into that, but also our money. And for people in the community that think that we don't upskill or don't grow or don't kind of live by the stuff that we're preaching, I think that's a really nice example of
100%.
how we are doing that. So
100%, and it's funny you say that because I sort of said to you before we got on this little chat that I had a story that I wanted to share, and it's very much down this pathway and very much down this sort of idea of spend money to make money. And I've recently just bought a brand new car. First time in my life I've ever bought a car that isn't a full-on shitbox. First 2 cars I've had were just passed down from mum and dad. So finally just bought a brand new car, and it's like I was nervous about it because obviously it's brand new car, it's a lot of money, and I'm not one to, I've definitely, I'll put my hand up and say I'm one who has been attached to money, particularly in the past, and definitely, through the whole sort of last 2 years have really started to learn otherwise and realize that money is just a tool at the end of the day. Money is literally a tool to help you live your life better. That is all it's for. Like when you look at if you break down what money was ever invented for, money was invented to facilitate trade. Like that's all the whole purpose of money is. So it's like when farmers had sacks of potatoes and farmers had sacks of oranges and farmers had sacks of apples, if the guy selling apples didn't want the potatoes, but the guy who had the potatoes wanted to buy apples, how the fuck was he going to buy apples if all he had was potatoes? You know what I mean? So that's why money was literally invented, so they could just trade in their items, get money, and then they could buy whatever the fuck they want. They didn't have to rely on this idea that whatever they wanted to buy, that person wanted what they had to sell, you know? So that is literally why money was invented. So when you think of it that way, it's like, it's literally a tool. What the fuck are you saving it for? It's like the equivalent of the farmer with sacks of potatoes, just stocking potatoes in his bloody shed for years. Like, oh yeah, one day I'm going to use them. It's like, what the fuck are they going to do there? That's pointless. Like, you grow them to use them to make your life better. So that sort of, I read a post about that recently the other day, and then now sort of, and obviously with the whole messaging that we've pushed, it really has sort of just clicked with me. And then particularly when I bought this car, I still was very sort of, took my time. I'm sort of on the more indecisive side of things in general. And then obviously when there's a bit of money on the line, I was even more indecisive. But the second I literally pressed purchase, and the second it happened, I literally just did not care. I realized, I was like, whoa, this actually does not fucking change a single thing about how I feel. It does not change anything right now. Like, I'm still the exact same person. Nothing changes. I don't feel scared because I've, committed to buying a car. I don't feel, oh my God, I've got less money in my bank account, so I'm like insecure. Nothing. I'm just like, wow, nothing changes. And it's like a bit different because it's a car, but it's the same when it comes to platinum, or it's the same when it comes to upskilling in a course or anything. It's like, you're doing it. Nothing, you're not going to feel any different with a few $100s less in your bank account or something, but the benefit that could potentially bring to you is massively going to outweigh that. So, I think it's just like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. At the end of the day, I was one of those Hormozy podcasts that you sent the other day. He's like, the risk of not doing something far outweighs the risk. No, sorry, the risk of not doing something far outweighs the risk. Fucking hell, there's a bit of a tongue twister.
Get out there.
Far outweighs the risk of doing something. And I think that's a perfect way to sum it up.
Yeah, well, you win or you learn. And JP always likes to say, like, that you just adapt, right? Like, if you go and live somewhere else that costs more,
correct,
you just buy meat. You just have to make more.
Exactly.
Like, otherwise, you're on the street. So that's an easy way. That's called forced adaptation.
Yeah. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
One thing to add to that, have you heard that whole? I don't know who says it. It might be a common thing. I read it somewhere. It's like, you should always fly business class. Like, this is a bit silly, but people are listening being like, oh, fucking righto. But like, just hear me out. You should always fly business class, because the second you fly business class, you never want to fly in coach again. And so then you force yourself to always be in a position where you can fly business class. Now, obviously that's a bit, it's achievable, but it's obviously, it's a goal. It's a goal of a position that you want to put yourself in that lifestyle, work towards that lifestyle. There's no reason you can't sort of do it.
Yeah, 100%. Having flown, I've only ever flown business once, but
I never have.
It is, it's a different world, and it is hard to like, because
What was it like?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Was that when you went to Europe?
On the way back, yeah.
On the way back, yeah.
Yeah, I threw my hat in the ring for when you can bid.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky, you get lucky. And I bid and hadn't heard anything from them, and just assumed that I'd lost, or I didn't bid much.
So
and then
you
I got
booked
to
the flight and then bidded when
Well, I'd already paid for my flight, and then
okay.
48 hours out, they sent an email going, there's spots in business, bid, whatever. And I bid the minimum amount. I can't even remember what it was. $1,500 or something.
Yeah,
$2,000 maybe.
Yeah.
And hadn't heard anything back, so I assumed I hadn't got it. And then got to the airport, and the lady went to check in at Etihad, and she's like, oh, your bid was actually successful.
Yeah.
We can charge your card now if you want to go to business.
Yeah,
and I was like, yep.
That's nice.
Oh, it was, unbelievable. Even just having access to for a 4-hour stop over the lounge, to have a shower, chill out, the food.
Yeah.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And then you can lie down on the plane, which is obviously a full-on fill-up. Get whatever food you want. So
champagne on arrival?
Yeah, I didn't drink any of the champagne, but you did get all of that.
Yeah.
But the other thing as well, and I didn't really understand, is like if you're properly flying business for business purposes, like there's no world in where you can't have like a 6-hour full-on sleep and then hammer out 7 hours of like actual work.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you're someone that's, you know, making a couple mil a year, like those 6 or 7 hours that you're on the plane are extremely valuable to you.
100%.
You probably make more than the ticket costs. So
yeah, if you simply just break it down to like, you know, all these business coaches and stuff, they're always like, you know, what's your hourly rate? And if you've got 7 hours on a business flight and your hourly rate's $500 an hour and it costs you $1,000 to go to business class, well, no brainer.
Yeah, correct. And if you can't punch out the work that you're going to do in, you know, economy,
coach,
then 100%. Like, I think it's a no-brainer. And I definitely, where possible, will be utilizing that to my advantage going forward. I don't think that I'll always fly business simply because we just don't make enough money yet, and that's fine. But I agree, it's something to strive towards. And if you did spend it, then like reality is you just have to go and earn more. But in terms of the spending money, the car example, another one in the office is obviously Lenny. We've been pushing him for a while to buy a car. Nothing doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive, but he's been for a bit of time worried about, but you know, it'll be $5,000 or $10,000 out of my savings. But he's losing 15 to 20 hours a week getting public transport or waiting for someone to pick him up or someone get him from footy training. And I think he's finally realized that if he spends that 5 to 10K or whatever it is to get a car, he's going to save himself hundreds of hours this year, which he can then use to
literally,
you know,
it's a tool.
Get another mentor or like start his own business or start a page or whatever it may be. Like you then have those hours, plus you have more energy to be able to invest the energy. You only have so many tickets of energy in a day. And if you're spending 20% of them getting public transport, thinking about when the bus is going to come, worrying about some geezer sitting next to you, whatever it may be. Like all of these things you just don't have to worry about.
Or it might be raining, you got to walk to the bus stop, like little shit like that.
And then it just
ruins
your day.
Yeah, it stacks up,
So if you can just get into your car, drive there, zip in, then you just make monumental gains from a small expenditure. And you mentioned on Hormozy before, and I'm just going to mention him in every podcast for the rest of our podcast.
No, I'm starting to grow on him now. I'm actually,
like if you have $1,000 savings, right, like in your bank account, the most you can make in a savings, you're going to make $50 off that $1,000 for the whole year. And if you go and spend $1,000 on like 10 self-help books or 10 sales books or platinum or whatever it is, like if you use that $1,000 to gain the skills or the knowledge or the understanding on how you can make more than $50 with that $1,000, then you've already won. Let alone the compounding effects of that, because once you make $1,000 and you realize how you made your $1,000, you're like, oh, if I didn't do this, this, and this, I probably would have made $2,000. Then your next $2,000 you make, oh, I learned this, this, and this, or I said this, this, and this, and now I made money a lot more efficiently.
That's
by doing it, you end up making way, way more. But you like unlock another level. It's like it's literally a game, and you beat the boss. You know, Mario World. You beat the boss on level 1. You know, oh, I remembered how to jump over the shells here or throw the shells back at this bloke, and that's how I got there faster. And then you beat the bigger boss and the bigger boss and the bigger boss, and that's how you make more money, more money, more money by just stacking up skills, experiences, knowledge, and I think it's a no-brainer, and people hold themselves back for so long by just saving or hoarding that $1,000 or $2,000 when it's like, dude, go and learn the skills. Hormozy reckons you can spend $50,000 you can spend $50,000 to learn the skills, get the right setups, the whatever you need, website, etc., to make $1 million a year. He reckons it costs $50,000.
That's insane.
To make $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's insane.
But how many people would spend $50,000 to upskill to learn?
No chance.
None.
No.
And that's what he thinks. Like he's like, and he calls that the ignorance tax.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's it's very interesting. Hormozy says a couple of things that have resonated with things that you've just said there. First one is he says basically like, you know, you can either pay, and we say it as well, but he breaks it down so simply. I do know what you mean. You've always said he just says quite complex concepts very simply.
He's just the GOAT at defining terms.
Yeah, he really is. He's really good at it. But yeah, he basically says you can either pay with money or time. It's as simple as that. He's like, you will get, if you want to get to somewhere, you will get wherever you want to get to, providing you've got discipline, providing you don't give up, all that sort of shit. But if you want to get there, you will get there. It's just a matter of how you want to get there. You can pay with money or you can pay with time. And he's like, well, you're going to pay with what is least valuable to you. Yeah. For a lot of people, time is less valuable for them. But because they're so they value money so highly, I suppose. But it's like if you start to like change your perspective and be like, well, I can actually learn with my money and avoid all of the mistakes that I would make if I was going to learn with time, then you're going to get somewhere so much faster. And he always says, like, people say to him, they're like, how do you fucking get to the position you want to be so quickly? He's like, because I like fast track my path. Like I just get on a speedo and just get there a lot quicker.
Yeah,
purely
100%.
Money. Yeah.
That's our 15 minutes. So to finish that off, to relate it back to match betting is simply like you can 100% get to, say, JP is the best match bettor we know or has the most skills and knowledge. You can 100% go and attain that and gain that and do it for 7 years to get to his level.
Yeah.
Or you spend $1,000 to learn all of the pains he's gone through, all 100%. The mistakes he's gone through, everything we've learned from our content. And you pay $1,000 to fast track 7 years of learning mistakes that you would get. That's as simple as that. That's why it costs that.
100%.
And like people that understand, spend money to make money, that ends up being a no-brainer.
Yeah. One extra thing to add as well. I've actually got a new video that I've got to put out. I'll probably post it after this podcast. I did a little video. What would you spend $1,000 on? Randomly asked you, JP, and Tom, and it's actually going to be super relatable to what we've just talked about here. I've just sort of remembered it now. So
give that a watch.
Give that a watch as well, because it's sorry, Lenny, in advance.
See ya.
So if you want to learn what match betting is and how to get started, there's a free course linked directly in the YouTube description. It goes for 60 minutes. It contains a number of videos explaining how it all works and how you can get started for free today.